Hello, you beautiful legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 699. One episode away from a nice and round milestone of 700 days. So, this project started 699 days ago, exactly. There was no day off. Every single day I was able to manage and carve out some time to write a blog post and record the podcast episode, which I am quite proud of, because not only these days it's very hard to carve out some time to do anything randomly. I can only imagine how much time I spent if I would calculate all these hours, because writing blog posts is probably the most consuming. Recording the podcast is fairly easy because, as you can see, I just turn on the camera and I speak. Of course, I need to know what to speak about, but because it's a freestyle journaling, it's fairly straightforward. I can always stop it and re-record it, and then it's just a matter of uploading and probably about 5 to 10 minutes of work, putting some metadata into YouTube and Spotify. But other than that, it's fairly easy. The blog post is the more demanding part because I need to write it, and it takes time. Even the shortest post requires time, and because of the format in which I'm doing it, most of the times I need to wait for the episode to be uploaded to YouTube and to Spotify, well, at least to YouTube, and to be processed by YouTube so it's watchable, because I need to embed it in my blog post before I publish it. So it's kind of dependency on the blog side, and I'm not sure how to sort it out, or maybe detach or decouple both of them so they are independent, so one is not waiting for the other. But I have no idea yet how to do it. Friday, we are updating the Friday side of things. Obviously it's now Saturday. I stopped at the same place where I stopped yesterday to record the podcast. I fired up the sauna and waiting for stove to get some heat before I drive onto the beach. It's probably about 2 miles away from the beach, maybe less, probably less, maybe 2 kilometers. Friday started quite interestingly because we had a couple of bookings in the morning, so I knew that going to the beach is necessary, and it will pay back, because even if it's not a huge amount of bookings or back-to-back bookings, they still pay back for the fuel and wood or whatever I burn for it. So it almost always pays back to go, even for I would say 2 bookings for half an hour are enough to cover the costs and add some extra. Of course, I'm not counting my time, but I don't count my time because it's not a chore. Sometimes I'm tired, but I still spend time on the beach. I still can do my stuff during that time and leverage that. I still am pretty much boss of my own, so it's not really work per se. It doesn't count as well, it does count as time, but I would probably waste that time at home anyway in some form or another, either looking at some stupid videos or, you know, diving into some rabbit hole and reading about certain stuff that I might not need at all. So I don't count hours. Well, I do count hours in my spreadsheet to know how many hours we spend overall, because I want to know my earnings per hour. But at the moment, it is somewhere just shy of 20 euro per hour. So it's a quite high earnings ratio in comparison to how many hours I spent. So at the moment, let's talk about Friday, because it's already 6 minutes in and I didn't say anything of value. Not that I will, but Friday started pretty nice. It wasn't super busy, but it was very windy. It's still very windy. I think we are getting some hurricanes across Atlantic, and while they don't hit us directly in Ireland, we are always brushed by those hurricanes, and we are getting very high winds. So it was difficult to fire up, but most of the time. But yesterday I did the same thing as here, so it was much easier. When we arrived in the evening, it was another story. But basically, yeah, there were a couple of bookings. There was no walk-ins. It was pretty quiet later on, so I didn't stay long at the beach. It was low tide, so it was there was a lot of space on the beach to stay with the sauna, as opposed to the evening, because when I returned home, we did a couple of things, played a bit of table tennis with my wife, ate some breakfast, well, late lunch or brunch, I would say, with Julian. And later on we decided to go early, not in the evening, but actually start in the afternoon. So we drove to not to the beach, but because it was just about high tide, so we used that opportunity to park a little bit closer to the Sand Hotel, so the other exit in Rosnaula. We left, Elizabeth and Julian stayed in the car while I went to a friend of ours, another business, the coffee van called Brewbox. We had a nice chat there. I got coffees and snacks for us, and headed back to the car. And we drove to the usual ramp and exit, and I checked the beach. It was still fairly uneven and tide was close, but I felt like the sand is hard enough and safe enough to drive onto. And while I was at Brewbox, before we came to the beach, I got a call from somebody asking if we'll be at the beach today, and I said that we will be there in 10-15 minutes probably, and maybe another 20 to 30 minutes before we will be heated up. And they said that's fine. They were swimming at the time, so they had some spare time to wait. So we headed to the beach. We gave a cleanup to the sauna. I heated it up and drove onto the beach, and lo and behold, we had three bookings straight away before we even started operating, and then fourth came in afterwards. Then we had another booking and another booking. So it was a good time. at the beginning, it was a good decision to come early, because if we would come a bit later or for the regular time, we wouldn't get anyone, because it went so dead quiet. Well, there were a couple of queries. People were asking about today's evening, or well, at the time yesterday they were asking for tomorrow's evening, so which means today. So I'm not sure how many people will come, but we'll see how it goes. For now, the evening was decent, because we had also somebody bought a voucher, and overall it was a good earnings for a day, even though there were so many empty hours in general. The ratio was very good, because the earnings to the actual hours came up very nice. And later on, I just drove quickly to the shop, got some frying oil, and we did like homemade fries at home, spent some time together and went to sleep. So it was pretty usual day. The weekend just started, but I won't be obviously talking too much about it. Tomorrow is a league match of Julian's team, so we are going to Dunkinilly for a match, so we won't be operating in the morning, but we'll see how the days develop, how the weekend develops, and my transitioning from job, I would say, employed to jobless to some extent, is happening at the moment. So I feel good about it. I don't have any pressure, fortunately. So I'm in a advantageous position and in privileged position to go ahead and change our life a little bit. Thank you very much for being here. I always appreciate your time. You know that. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you as well, and I hope that you will return. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Stay tuned, and see you again in the next episode.